What if I told you that the biggest money laundering scandal in Wall Street's history is still happening right under our noses? You've heard the term too big to fail, but have you ever wondered what happens when the system is so large, so complex, that it becomes an invisible beast of corruption? A beast that the very institutions we trust feed and protect, while they quietly hollow out your financial security. Let's start with a question. Why is your retirement fund shrinking? Why does it feel like you're working harder for less, while the elites continue to rake in billions? Is it just inflation, or is there something deeper at play? We're diving into the dark world of financial manipulation, a world where billions, yes, billions, are funneled through shadowy backdoors, obscured by complex financial instruments designed to launder money on a global scale. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button. If you want the unfiltered truth, you're in the right place. And hey, comment below where you're watching from. Let's get a conversation started. To understand how Wall Street is running the biggest money laundering scheme of all time, we have to look back at a pivotal moment in history, the 2008 financial crisis. Most people know it as a global catastrophe where trillions in wealth vanished overnight. But what if I told you the real scandal wasn't the collapse itself, but what happened before the collapse? In the years leading up to the crisis, a financial system was quietly growing in the shadows, a system so complex, so out of control, that its collapse was inevitable. You see, it wasn't just about subprime mortgages or shady lending practices. The real story lies in a mechanism so powerful it's still operating today, unregulated and unchecked. Today's financial system is built on the same speculative bets, the same mass-scale gambling with people's futures, and the same opaque structures. But this time it's even worse. Wall Street's now even more integrated with global markets, and it's not just mortgage-backed securities. The stakes are higher, the risks are more extreme, and the people in charge are the same. In 2008, the crisis revealed a truth no one wanted to hear. Wall Street had been hiding money on a massive scale. The players knew what they were doing. They knew exactly how to use the system to enrich themselves, while the rest of us watched our savings evaporate. Fast forward to today, and the financial elites have learned their lesson. They've built new mechanisms, new systems, more sophisticated than ever. Sound familiar? While you struggle to make ends meet, they continue their game, manipulating markets with impunity. And here's the real kicker. The next collapse? It's coming, and it's going to make 2008 look like a warm-up. Why? Because the exact same mechanisms that brought us to the edge of the cliff in 2008 are still in place today, only they've gotten worse. This brings us to the heart of the conspiracy, the key financial mechanism that makes it all possible. And here's where the twist comes in. The mechanism that enabled this money laundering scheme isn't some obscure tool buried in financial jargon. It's something far simpler but more dangerous: the derivatives market and shadow banking system. But what if I told you this system, a beast that has grown by trillions of dollars over the past decade, is actually designed to hide wealth and launder money across borders with no accountability? You won't believe the name of the financial players at the heart of this. It's bigger than you think. The receipt for this scandal is wilder than you imagine. Keep watching, because the truth will shock you. Let's break this down. To understand how Wall Street launders money on a massive scale, we need to understand the derivatives market and the shadow banking system. Now, derivatives are contracts whose value depends on the price of an underlying asset, like stocks, bonds, or commodities. They can be used for everything from hedging against risk to outright speculation. And while derivatives have legitimate uses, they can also be used to obscure the true ownership of wealth and move money in ways that are nearly impossible to trace. Here's where it gets wild. The derivatives market is worth $1 quadrillion, yes, quadrillion. That's $1,000 trillion, about 10 times the global GDP. And guess what? Most of it is unregulated. Imagine a world where money moves through complex financial products that no one can fully track, and no one is accountable for the trillions floating around the globe. Now, let's talk about the shadow banking system. This refers to financial institutions and products that aren't part of the traditional banking system, but still provide similar services like lending and investing. The best part? They operate outside the law. In 2007, the shadow banking system was responsible for $60 trillion in transactions. That's 3 times the size of the US economy at the time. These are funds that don't follow the same regulations as traditional banks. They can be used to fund money laundering, tax evasion, and even illicit trades. All the while, the public stays in the dark. To put it in perspective, in 2008, Lehman Brothers collapsed under the weight of these shady transactions. But what most people didn't realize is that they weren't alone. At the time of the crisis, $5 trillion was floating in the global derivatives market, ready to collapse at any moment. You think it stopped there? Think again. In 2023, the global derivatives market has only grown, now eclipsing $1 quadrillion. That's right, $1,000 trillion. And still, it operates outside the regulations that govern your 401k or savings account. Now, let's talk about how money actually gets laundered in this system. The money laundering mechanism. Money laundering happens when illicit money from crime or corruption is funneled into legitimate financial channels. In this system, it's easier than you think. Financial institutions, through the derivatives market, can take illicit funds and use them to bet on assets like oil, gold, or stocks. They create fake trades, washing the money clean and moving it through complex financial networks. The role of banks and hedge funds. Major banks and hedge funds have been caught in this scheme repeatedly. In fact, in 2012, J.P. Morgan Chase was forced to pay a $13 billion fine for manipulating markets, selling worthless mortgage-backed securities, and engaging in money laundering. That's just one example. The global network. This doesn't just happen in the US. It's a global network of transactions that span across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. And with every trade, the system becomes more opaque, more impossible to regulate. Here's the most damning part. Despite this $1 quadrillion market and its widespread use to launder money, only 1% of these transactions are ever investigated. That means the vast majority of dirty money is moving through your economy without anyone noticing. The money that fuels corruption, that fuels wars, and that keeps the elites in power. So why does all of this matter to you? It's simple. The next financial collapse is already set in motion. The system is bigger, faster, and more corrupt than it ever was in 2008. The financial institutions at the top are more interconnected and more secretive than ever. And just like in 2008, when the crash happens, it's the ordinary people, the ones who work hard and save diligently, who will be left holding the bag. But we're not powerless. We can't just sit back and ignore this anymore. The elites are playing a game with our lives, with our future. And the worst part, the game is rigged. So here's my final question. Are we wiser now, or are we walking the same path in better suits? Hit that subscribe button, share this video, and join the conversation. Because when the truth is buried, we have to dig it up. Are we going to stay silent, or are we going to demand accountability? It's time to act.